Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and obviously this morning I'm out in the greenhouse. I need to replant, and I also need to have access to, there's a couple of seedlings that need to be moved into different containers. And it's definitely replanting time. I need to plant buckets of carrots and some other stuff. So I don't know, casually looking at this, if this is a tomato or a husk cherry. We had a couple of husk cherries that apparently escaped from somewhere, and actually this could be a potato. Particularly this one here looks like a potato. So I have had potatoes show up in a couple of my pots. I can't tell. A lot of these pots have been used for potatoes over time, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that despite the fact that we did everything we could, we seem to have gotten a few random potato grows things. Mystery solved. It was a potato. Pull the biggest three in here. Because they've grown really fast this week, and I don't want them to get overly grown. And that's where I grew lettuce this spring. So I need to chop this whole top up, add a bunch more soil, add a bunch of amendments, raise up this level of dirt, and then it will be ready for planting something. I'm not sure what. This guy. The ground felt weird there. We have lizards growing in here, so I try not to step on any. They're not growing in here, they're living in here. This is heavy because it has a lot of water at the bottom. Oops. This is bush beans. I told Henry, I said, it's like performing a magic ritual. You decide that the bush beans in the yard might not make it. So you plant bush beans out here. This is actually, it got sunburned, which is why it looks terrible. But you can see all the new leaves are doing just fine. It shows every sign of producing bush beans. It's got flower buds on it, the whole 9 yards. So that's great. But meanwhile, the ones in the garden have gone totally insane, and they are producing like, I can't quite keep up with them, let's put it that way. Here's the next part of the jungle. And this is an interesting jungle because it's problematic. This is romaine. I harvested one the other day. You can see they're starting to bolt. But they're perfectly sweet still. That's delicious. We need to have a big salad today. Even though these are starting to bolt, they're not bad yet. I'm not sure that the same can be said for some of the other lettuce here. We have been eating a ton of lettuce. Probably not as big a ton as we should have, but we still have been eating a ton of lettuce. And that is now bitter. So that answers that question. There's 3 varieties of lettuce in here. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the pak choi. This one is bitter. This is Nancy, and we ate a ton of Nancy lettuce. It is so good. So good. We were very, very happy. We had a brutal summer, and yet we still managed to get a very good harvest off that thing. But it's had it. It may not look wonderful, but this lettuce is still quite edible. One of the problems I had with this batch is it got stuck in the back, So it really became hard to harvest. Got to work better on that. It's hard to play Tetris all the time to have them in the right place so you can harvest when you need to. So Nancy is gone. Adriana is partially gone. Let's check Muir. That's perfect. So now we know. I have a container of basil and tarragon here. I'm going to trade the positions. This becomes like the herb section over here. Everybody wants to flop someplace where you don't want them to flop. Let's see. Flop sideways a little bit for now. And the pak choi in the front, so I can carefully monitor that for additional infestations of worms. Worms being caterpillars. This is a classic case of we planted too much at a specific time, and it's, Henry and I have talked about this a dozen times, it's a balancing act. You don't want to run out, so you plant more figuring, oh, it'll be okay. Well, sometimes it is okay, but generally speaking, something goes to waste. Now, that's actually a very nice looking pak choi. This is where it gets really challenging. I have a pot down here. I have a couple things going on. Pepper jungle. This is not a pepper. This is a husk cherry that was not supposed to have been here. It apparently was in the soil, whether it fell in while it was while I was planting or what. But the net result is we have a large husk cherry plant in here that is producing husk cherries. And I actually harvested and ate one or two yesterday. I need to keep this accessible. There he is! It's the Jack who refused to come out with me before. Hi! Are you happy? If you're happy and you know it, wag your tail. If you're happy and you know it, wag your tail. If you're happy and you know it, then your tail should really show it. If you're happy and you know it, wag your tail. Okay. Happiness. So, lettuce is under control. Green beans are semi under control. It sounds stupid. I don't really want them touching because of the caterpillars issues we've had. Okay, now here's my problem. Back to the problem. I have multiple things that I need to be paying really close attention to. And one of them is this cucumber pot. Now, not cucumber pot, geez, cantaloupe pot. So I planted 3 cantaloupe seeds in there. 2 of them came up, and another couple of seeds came up. But of course, when they're little, you're like, I don't know what that is. Well, it turns out that 3 of the seeds that came up in there, 3 or 4 of the seeds that came up in there are carrots. Now, I have no idea which variety of carrots because how do you guess that sort of thing? I don't know. You wait till they get bigger, because I've grown multiple varieties of carrots today and this year rather in multiple pots. So yeah, I don't keep that kind of record. I keep a record as to whether the family that this was in, but I don't keep a record of what necessarily. So that's got to go up someplace because it's starting to run, and I need to be able to string the cantaloupe up onto the rafters. Now ideally I would actually have it over here and string it up over here. I don't know if I can do that or not. Meanwhile, I need to harvest a bunch of these peppers because the pepper plant is falling over. So the camera quit. That was okay. I took a water break and it made me have the time to think about what I really should do. And I decided that what I really should do is no matter how inconvenient this is, I should move things around over here a little bit so that I can put the cantaloupe right here. So that's what I did. So I have a bucket down here. Now, this bucket has stories associated with it. As I started to tell you before, I planted 3 cantaloupe seeds in here, and 2 of them came up. And then other things started coming up. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 carrots in here, and I have what I think is a, this is a flower. I'm not sure which one. It could be a Sweet William, it could be something else. And then this is a husk cherry. Seriously, guys, we have a confusion moment here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over here, a bit towards the wall. And as these cantaloupe grows crazy, because I can see this one here is starting to, as everyone would say, I'm doing my high wire act. Okay. So this cantaloupe has got tendrils, so I want to control it. We have grown a cantaloupe on a trellis before, and it did work just fine. It was outside, so it was a bit more of a challenge because of the wind problems there. But I'm going to try it again in here. We were not thrilled with our cantaloupe harvest this year in the garden. The damage from the hailstorms was pretty severe. It really destroyed a couple of the plants completely. Hey, hey, I see you. Where are you? I had to smoosh a bug. Okay, anyway, squirrel. No, I always stop for bugs. So the cantaloupe harvest in the garden was iffy. So we decided we would try growing a little in here. We have grown in, I know professionally, there are monster greenhouses that are literally, the entire greenhouse is melons of various sorts. So it can be done. We have about 2 months until the first frost here, or the potential for the first frost. There's no guessing when it will be, actually. And we're going to give it a shot in the greenhouse to see if we can make this work. Worst case, it doesn't work. We've wasted some water, some time. First I was going to pull this husk cherry, and then I said, I don't know, I think I'm going to leave it be. We're not having a great husk cherry harvest. We had a couple of plants die unexpectedly, and can't figure out why. Of course, they had the stuffings knocked out of them by the hailstorm, and then they wound up with a major cucumber beetle infestation. So the cucumber beetles could have brought in some sort of a bug. The wind is really starting to kick outside. We were supposed to have sunny weather today, and nice and everything. Yesterday was terrible. It was completely overcast and cloudy, and it's windy, and let's just say we did not get enough rain for it to be measurable. That was one of my main pushes for today. I had to get him taken care of. The jungle, the pepper jungle, with an added husk cherry, because why not? Okay, I'm going to have to stake the husk cherry because without the other stuff underneath it, it's flopping over. I've never seen husk cherries grow this tall, and I assume it's because it was shaded by the peppers. These here are Mamma Mia Rosso, and one of them is just starting to turn red. And that's Sandia, which is a chili. And that's Sandia, which is a chili. But this is supposed to be a godfather. The Sandias and the godfathers sort of look alike. Not exactly, but sort of. And I'm pretty sure that this guy here is not a chili. So I'm going to harvest some of his peppers. There we go. Now, in case anyone's wondering what these weird poles are, they are part of old wardrobe, the rolling cheap wardrobes that you get at like Target and stuff like that. We used those a lot when we were in the process of moving between a couple of different houses, and then we wound up with a ton of them, but we no longer needed them, but I hated to throw them away, and I said, they're poles, that's what they are, they're poles. So that's what they are, is they're poles. Now, how do I get this to hold up a little bit better? I'm going to take a break. I need to water. Well, I hope that gives you some sort of a concept of what's going on in here lately. It's pretty chaotic because we're moving around a lot of things, we're deciding on a lot of things, we're harvesting some things, and it's one of those in-between moments when you're just, everything is not in stasis, you're doing a lot of stuff. It's lunchtime. I'm kind of done. Jack wants to go back in the house. So I think I will pick one tomato. This is a big boy that needs to come off right there. I think that will be it for this morning. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because obviously there's a ton more going to happen. I have to plant a bunch of seeds. I still have a couple of seedlings over there that I need to transplant, and I just plain need to decide what I'm going to do with some things. I have a few extra seedlings that just, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'll be honest. Until next time, bye.